Hey, what's up? It's Nico.
And I'm TK.
And this is X's for Comics. This is where we take a look at all of the books that we like, we don't like, we love, we don't love. It's a lot of talking. We're going to be taking a look at some Batman, some Wolverine. We're doing a big project where we're talking about every major crossover between the two companies. And this week, we're looking at some Batman and some Wolverine for some deep reading for some Dark Claw, right? Coming your way this weekend. So let's jump in. First things first. Have you ever heard of Batman or Wolverine?
No, who are these guys?
Right. So
I tend to only read popular characters,
so Batman is a pointy-eared cowl-wearing man, and so is Wolverine. And if you put two Wolverines together kissing, they're a Batman. Is that what it is?
yeah, that math sounds right to me.
That image of like the two masks
Yeah,
together make the other mask.
Yep. And I do know from looking at Dark Claw that the really important thing that Batman must add to the equation is a cape that Wolverine does not have, and basically never has, from what I can tell from looking at various artworks.
Other than like Apocalypse Death Wolverine.
That's exactly what I was about to reference, actually.
Yeah, other than him, there's just not too many.
Yeah.
Guys,
I'm kidding. I do know who they are. I've known the whole time.
Well, and that's the big thing here is making sure you know who these characters are, because
God forbid.
Feels like every book right now coming out of these two houses exists just to remind you who these two characters are.
I mean, Batman is a little luckier because there's just so many Batman books that technically not all of them do that. Just by sheer numbers, some of them technically don't do that. Wolverine is on a bit of a lull, although to be fair, we did not read every Wolverine book that is out right now because some of them... Listen, guys, we have limits. I'm not going to read Wolverine and Kitty Pryde. I'm sorry.
No, you are actually. You're just reading it next week for X-Men.
Oh, am I really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, spoiler alert, I did read it, and it's not very good. Anyway, Wolverine has fewer books, and you really do notice that... Well, there's a few things you notice with Wolverine. We'll really get into it, but Batman, at the very least, it's just so much stuff that some of it, just by numbers, is doing something else.
I hear you say that. I don't agree, but I hear you say it. So we're going to be taking a look at an insane number of books today, and I really do love the way we do this because we're trying to give you everything that's come out in a period of time, right? We're going to be taking a look at Batman 161, Batman and Robin, year 1, kind of like 10, but like 2 through 10. Batman and Robin 23-24, Batman Dark Patterns number 9, Batman Long Halloween, Last Halloween 8, Detective Comics 1100, Batgirl 910, Catwoman 78, Gotham City Sirens Unfit for Orbit 45, Immortal Batman number 1, Deadpool Wolverine, kind of like 2 through 8. We actually never talked about it again after that first one. Laura Kinney Wolverine 3 through 9. Wolverine, we technically haven't talked about it since Wolverine 6. So Wolverine 6 through 12. And then Wolverines and Deadpool's 1, 2. I'm so tired.
And that's the show, everyone. Just reading it off is plenty. Thank you for coming.
Actually, kind of. And the truth is, I'm trying to be better about. So today, when we go through all of these books, I'm going to be going out of my way to make sure that we hit the creative credits. This is something that I feel like we have slacked on in recent years. This show used to be a little bit different. And it's never more clear to me that our show used to be like an actual X-Men podcast at one point than when I'm talking to other X-Men podcasts and they're like, wait, what do you mean you do several days a week that are an X-Men? What? Do you ever do X-Men? And I'm like, when we have to. And I don't mean that shady. I mean that I don't feel particularly the Wolverine books are designed for me right now, and I'm having a hard time figuring out who they're designed for. And I'm feeling the same way about Batman, to be honest. I'm not getting a really clear vision of either title line. And so I'm really eager to talk about some of these, less eager to talk about others.
I will say I feel like Batman right now is designed for me.
Okay.
But I don't know that that's the right move. And especially when it's this many books, if you legitimately are like, none of these really are resonating, I think we're maybe too far. There were a few that I thought might resonate with you a little bit more. And so I think maybe we're too far over. Wolverine, I mean, like, I'm having the same problem with Wolverine because I've been reading Wolverine almost as long as you have. So I mean, I think we can kind of see what the problem is. It's this sort of, well, actually, Wolverine has another problem. And are we ready to like get into the Marvel books?
Yeah, sure. What Wolverine book do you want to start with?
It sort of doesn't matter. My point is going to be the same throughout.
Interesting.
So
I have uniquely like
I've got other
criticisms.
I have unique criticisms too, but I have one big criticism that is overarching.
Hit me with it.
Everybody is writing as though they are not writing as part of a universe and that their vision is the vision. And you know, some of these people are big egos. Percy is writing like Krakoa didn't happen, like X-Men isn't happening now, like we're not about to do an event called Age of Revelation that essentially really makes clear that Apocalypse no longer matters. Ziegler
Well, hold on, I'm going to take it back instead of hitting it because then I have
yeah.
I won't be able to respond to everything. Yeah,
it's true. So anyway, everybody is doing that, and I'll kind of talk about what each person is doing when we talk about their book. But the Marvel feels so uncohesive because so many writers are doing that and nobody is reining them in. But the Wolverine line feels like totally aimless and totally without a point of view about the character because everybody is doing that about one guy. Like doing it about the X-Men is one thing versus the Avengers, but like 5+ writers doing it about one guy.
Yeah, no, and that is a lot of where my frustration is, and that's where I realized, and I was like, wait a minute, I think I do want to jump in and be like, hold on,
Yeah,
I want to be part of this conversation because I feel like that's even a great place to start. Let's start with a thing that we've actually started with a few times and we keep being frustrated by. I'm very glad that you brought up that we're going to have to be able to talk about Apocalypse from Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix and like what this kind of does for canon, because it does a lot of things for canon that I think are almost like dangerous. But the first thing I want to touch on, because you're so right, is I found that the Akihiro stuff in Wolverine is a little too unfairly stealing from the Krakoan era. It feels like the Krakoan era just never ended for Percy. At the same time, I feel that way about his Wolverine in Wolverine and Deadpool. And I'm so glad that you said that right away, that like, you know, it feels like it's so uncohesive, because the thing that has me the most frustrated is we felt this way about Aaron's Thor after everything ended, that he got to keep doing his own thing and like got to keep doing his own Avengers. And I feel like this Akihiro book, Wolverine, is what Wolverine would have become. And I feel like Deadpool Wolverine is just the next couple of arcs of X-Force.
Yeah. This is just X-Force. We've pared the team down a little. I thought something very similar. And I like I kind of didn't even think about Wolverine, but you're right. Like, and that actually might have been a smart move for Marvel if Krakoa had kept going to, you know, to maybe not have a Wolverine book and to have Wolverine, or to like not have Logan be the Wolverine book and have Wolverine be it. That might have been interesting. Like even just to do it for an arc or two.
Yeah.
You know, because this is Wolverine's 10 issues, so you're not losing that much. But yeah, this basically feels like an X-Force book. It feels like Percy's X-Force, which often had what's his name, Maverick. You know, and another thing that bothers me is like ONE or Shield, nobody really knows, because we're seeing Where are we seeing ONE?
We're seeing O&E in the Deadpool Wolverine book, and like a little bit vaguely in Wolverine.
Yeah, and then we're seeing Department H. Like, I don't know. It just feels like there's no editor or like series of editors is like, this is what's going on with Shield right now versus this is what's going on with ONE. Versus that was the other thing. It wasn't really even Shield that bothered me. It was ONE versus whoever is running the mansion and using it as a prison. Like, we just have a lot of people that hate mutants, but they're not working together. And they're taking up a lot of government resources, which I don't believe is a meta commentary on like government overreach. I think it is a accidental commentary on the fact that people aren't talking to each other in the editor's office. And we never see that woman who is being crazy and evil holding Charles Xavier talking to the ONE, the head of ONE, who's just insanely going after Wolverine and is basically having the same dialogue.
Which is part of where it's like we talk a lot about Rockstar runs, and something you and I have been discussing a lot is the nature of ego. I feel so bad because like my parents were just watching a Liza Minnelli documentary, and they were like, "Oh, it's so cool how she looks out for her friends," and I wanted to be like cocaine and pills. Like I mean this with love. There's very few people with like 6 Tony nominations and several Oscar nominations and a bajillion dollars who have faced down such horrible demons, and there isn't like a line of bodies in their wake. And for every time we hear Bob Dylan say, I kind of think that I like the Jimi Hendrix version of Along the Watchtower more. There's that was my Bob Dylan impression. Thank you. There's a Ani DeFranco saying that after Alana Davis covered 32 Flavors, she would never authorize a cover ever again. And there's always a thing. And so, like, when you're talking about the egos on these people, when you're talking about like super egomaniacs who should be super egomaniacs because that's how you be this successful, it's hard to imagine that they're all looking to compromise their story. It's hard to imagine that everybody is taking like a big step back and saying, I would love to put my story second just for you and make your story possible. But what we're running into is the opposite of what we found a problem with early Krakoa. One of my biggest problems with early Krakoa was that it was very obviously the John Hickman show and everybody else was allowed to come to the office that day. But here it feels like everybody is demanding to get to be Hickman so that they never aren't.
Yeah, I mean that is the crux of it. For me, is that it does feel like everybody kind of wants a Hickman moment, and like Hickman is famous among comics people and maybe just slightly known outside of the comics world for being a comics person. He's had some huge, yes, rock star runs. He has put his stamp on a lot of things. Ben Percy has had a lot of work, been very prolific. He tends to be writing more, putting out more books than Hickman in a given year at Marvel. I don't know anybody's pay rate. I don't know anybody's ego about that. But Percy, in terms of being prolific, is doing better for himself.
Yeah.
In terms of saying what characters are up to today, he's doing it for more characters. It does feel sometimes like he writes like, why does nobody say I'm a Jonathan Hickman? In an almost reckless way.
Yeah.
Where and again, I just go to like, I also don't know who pitched what when, who approved what when. Maybe these scripts were just in 2 years ago and they were drawn at that, like, the art was already commissioned and they really couldn't change it, and then they decided they were going to do Age of Revelation. But I just can't imagine being an editor, being aware that Age of Revelation is happening and greenlighting the scripts for Wolverine and Deadpool, knowing that they really rely on apocalypse always gonna apocalypse, and the whole point of Heir of Apocalypse and Revelation onward, and the reason I never bought into them was because I knew they were going to do exactly this. The reason I've been so lukewarm on this was because I know we're never getting rid of Apocalypse. I love the idea of Doug being Revelation because I love the idea of Doug powering up, and I love the idea of exploring what Apocalypse, which they even do in this issue. They talk about what Apocalypse means and that it's not the end of the world. It is about, actually, I think they even use the word Revelation, which makes it worse because they created a guy. And Hickman just wants to do it his own way. Sure, can we get away with eventually somebody saying, well, it's not actually the Apocalypse that was in this timeline making Doug into Revelation. It is an alternate timeline version that came back and wound up here. But already now I hate that answer, and everything's ugly, and I'm just, everything's muddy and ugly, and I'm not into it. This actually just could have been Strife. Like we could have, like, which would have been its own can of worms, but sure, whatever. It would have been less of a can of worms, and we're not relying on the Age of Strife or anything like that. It could have just been Strife. Also, Legacy 2.0, when the Legacy virus is like now sort of incredibly important. I mean, I talk constantly about the fact that the Legacy virus stories helped prepare me for the fact that I was realizing very young that I was gay, and everybody was saying, if you are gay, you are going to get AIDS. You're going to get HIV.
Yes.
And the Marvel stories about X-Men, about mutants getting the Legacy virus was a huge component of my processing all of that. And Legacy 2.0, the nanovirus that makes people do zombie shit. Again, I sort of can't imagine reading these scripts and not saying, we're going to call it literally anything else, because it's just a cute reference, and that's not good enough to do this.
You could have called it Formula, and then whatever is the number universe of Marvel Zombies. You could have called it Arena de Revco Formula. You could have called it anything.
Yep, the Rimbaldi formula. That would have been funny and great. They own it anyway. That actually would have been hilarious. Yeah, I don't know, man. I love so much that Percy does. I love where his head's at. I love how he does horror. I just have always known that I've had such a different vision of who Wolverine is. And it's been bothering me this entire time. The only time it didn't really bother me was like right at the start of Krakoa, when it felt like this was a really strong balancing anchoring voice to Hickman's that was running an X-Force that had a message about it being the Krakoan CIA, which you could understand why they would want to exist, but would have been complicated.
Right.
And then Hickman goes away. Percy just keeps getting more and more stuff. We kind of drift away from the mutant CIA idea and go so hard into Beast as Kissinger that we go like round the sun into Beast is not like Beast as Sugar Man. I not even recognizably anything. No commentary. Other stuff is happening. Ghost Rider's going off the rails on the mainland. I'm just a little bit lost. I will give him credit for this. I'm so glad this is not a book that tries to have anything to do with the movie.
Fascinating, because I like that you're positive on it, whereas I feel like it's bait and switch. Right?
Yeah, I mean, sure. Go ahead.
This is so stupid, and it's so me exclusive, but like, when I pick up a remix album and 3 of them are radio edits, I'm furious. When the video is labeled Guy A tops, but Guy B, and it turns out it's a flip-flop, I'm furious. Like, I want the thing on the wrapper, right? Like, I don't want to open Selena Gomez Oreos and get into that bag and find out that they're Demi Lovato Hydrox. Delete it, Poot, okay? So, what I'm saying is...
KEVO, please mark that. You need to clip that. That's the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life.
So I'm saying, if you give me Deadpool and Wolverine on the box, I want Ryan Reynolds sexually harassing Hugh Jackman in the tin.
I mean, like, yeah, you are not wrong. I'm glad that this is not a really hacky. For one thing, I'm glad it's Percy writing, because Percy cannot write Ryan Reynolds humor. He can't write anywhere near it. And God, I do respect him for this. Does not try.
No, that's an example of a person who knows their wheelhouse.
Yeah. So pleased about that. But you're not wrong either. Like, if again, this is like, who are these books for? They probably should be a little more for us. But I don't know. Strategically, this book should be for the new reader, and it should sound more like the movie, because that is going to get people in, and that means Percy probably shouldn't be writing it. End of story, end of list. I don't know what to tell you. I would love to know, like, has he pitched his ultimates? Has he pitched doing Age of Apocalypse? What does he want? What does he want? What does he get? Like, give him something. I don't know what to do here, because I do really love the guy. I think he's a good writer. He has been a presence at this company for a long time. He deserves something, but it does feel like they're actually, because he's so fucking masculine and manly, that they're scared to go up to him and be like, you cannot write all of these things. Like, you just can't do it. And new readers are suffering for it, because this is just a little too deep cut for them. I feel like old readers are suffering because this is, I don't know what this is like, fanfic, kind of like, it's your fantasy of what Wolverine and Deadpool are, but that's so personal, and you gotta really be good. You gotta have a good fantasy, and you gotta be really good at writing fanfic to get everyone else on board in your fanfic. You're muted.
And you need to be aware of the way your fanfic works with other people's ideas, right?
Yeah.
Like, I really do want to say that one of the things that Percy did that I appreciated was that he said, fuck you, I don't care. Good. No, and for real, good. If what you want to do is you want to come in and you want to come in and do that Quentin Tarantino Star Trek movie that shouldn't exist, then do it as Quentin Tarantino. Don't do it as Daffy Duck doing Quentin Tarantino, so that all of the violence becomes silly and all of the childish humor is actually childish. Do it the way Tarantino would do it. Over the top. Second Alias reference. The box. So I feel like the thing he did was really committed to the better or worse of it. And for that, I do want to congratulate the team. Personally, I would like to congratulate the team. No, but I did say I wanted to be better about credits. So while we're here, Ben Percy and the incredible team at Deadpool Wolverine, which, by the way, I'm going to give a C, because I don't think it was anything really memorable. It's Ben Percy, Josh Cassara, and Robert Gill alternating pencils and inks. Guru effects on colors and letters by Joe Sabino. Bro, what do you give Deadpool Wolverine 2-8 published from March to October?
I think it's kind of like a C minus. This is another thing. I really like him. I am tired of seeing Josh Cassara draw Wolverine's face. I'm sorry. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. It was so much of Krakoa. It's not even like I don't resonate with how Percy conceives of Wolverine. I think I can say that. It's not that I don't resonate with Cassara. It's just been a lot for the last 5 years.
A lot.
And there's other people I would like to see him draw. I mean, like, this is not Frank Quitely and Morrison, and Quitely drew less of Morrison's stuff. So, you know, I think that minus is also in part because I'm just a little bit sick of it. Gosh, this has been really going on a long time. Is this an omnibus thing? Is that what we're? I mean, like, is it
It's beyond it.
Yeah,
It's
because
so
it'd be
far
two,
beyond
it'd be
it.
2 to 3 at this point.
Because you'd have to. So much of his Wolverine and X-Force run together, and his Wolverine, his X-Force, his Helverine, his weapons.
You can maybe say Wolverine was a Ghost Rider. You can put that in a Ghost Rider Omni, but like you just named something else. I don't.
I would make it a 4 omnibus volume set called Ben Percy's Wolverine Family, and I would make it everything. And I would just, because that's the thing. I don't love him. Give the man his due, though.
Yeah,
he's not my guy. He's not my go-to. I'm rarely going to have an idea where I'm like, that's the guy. But you know what? The best stories come from putting people who should never be on them. I'm sorry, but Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely never should have been the people to do the sequel to the Dark Phoenix saga. And yet they were with Here Comes Tomorrow, which they claim is a tribute to Days of Future Past. And I know obviously that by that point it was Silvestri. I know it was Silvestri, but that was your point. Quietly actually basically leaves the title after 1 year. Yeah. But we still think of it as the Quietly run.
Well, and because he did Invisibles, you know, the prequel to New X-Men, and he did a lot of it, don't get me wrong, but he did not do as much of it as Cassara does Percy's Wolverine and Wolverine adjacent titles. And it is just so much. And, you know, I will say, like, I was saying, like, he writes kind of like he wants you to recognize him as a Hickman. I think it might make sense to publish him as a Hickman because he does start a run really well. I love that Ghost Rider run when it started. It had so many good ideas about what modern Marvel horror could be. And then it just kept going. And again, X-Force and Wolverine had really interesting ideas about what those entities would be in the island paradise of Krakoa. A lot of great ideas about those things, even things that I kind of sort of annoyed me early on, that he would show Jean and Wolverine having a relationship, but he would not acknowledge the Scott factor. That sort of bothered me less because he wasn't saying it wasn't happening. He was just picking the thing that he liked, but then it kept going. And it just, like, I don't know, maybe he needs a Gods or something where it's just the first 8 issues. It's Imperial where it's just going to be 4. You know, I would love to see how he did with something not Wolverine related, sort of a little bit out of his wheelhouse. And he's definitely not getting more than 10 issues. He's maybe getting 4 to 6. I would love to see that.
It's so funny because a lot of people think of Preacher as Garth Ennis's definitive work, but at the same time, almost every theme explored in Preacher is explored in depth in Hellblazer, and frankly better. And it came first. You know, it's because people like Ben Percy know that the money is in working on Wolverine. So of course they're not going to leave nowadays. But I would love to see him move on to something different. I would love to see him move on to something exciting.
You know what I would love to see him write? And I'd take Josh Cassara on this too. They can stay together. Man Thing.
Hellblazer.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Send him over to DC. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, he does appear to have some kind of sweet Marvel contract that he's just never leaving. I think after that tweet where he was like, fuck the comics industry, I might just go write movies. They were like,
we've learned our lesson. We're sorry.
Yeah. I don't know what, again, like, it just feels like sometimes he masks all over the Marvel offices and they get completely domed by this man, which, get your bag, buddy. But I'm like, also, like, I say these things, I really hate sounding mean or shitting on people's work, but there's so few people where I'm like, this is a bad artist who shouldn't be artisting. I really want to put him on. That's why I'm like, man, I'm trying to think of things where I'm like, I would love to see you on this. I'd love to get you out of your wheelhouse. And I'd love to play to your strengths. I do think you're a really phenomenal conceiver and engine starter. What's an engine I could see you on? And there are a lot of them, but I gotta get you off of Wolverine.
I also would love to get Ben Percy off, but somebody I would like to get off of Wolverine who is not. I mean, like, I'm making a joke here. I would love to be the cigar in Ben Percy's mouth, but like, I would reject being Wolverine's Ray-esque cigarette. I think the Saladin Ahmed run of Wolverine, and you brought it up. You said to me, Nico, do you remember that Saladin Ahmed did Spine-Tingling Spider-Man, which we love, but I'm starting to think that Spine-Tingling Spider-Man is the exception, and I don't like this writer because his Daredevil was far from something I appreciated. His Wolverine is verging into frustration territory, and I'm a guy who can read anything Wolverine. I mean, you guys often think that I am single-celled and have questionable taste. Nina Garcia is asking how I made it onto the show, which to this day, one of the funny, I mean, what the fuck, that was cruel. Good for her. And I'm going to be a little cruel here. Saladin Ahmed is obviously a very brilliant writer, or he would never have the size contracts he has at Marvel. But fuck, these are misses across the board on some of the biggest names. And I've got to be honest, Justice League Red, miss number 3 for me, ladies and gentlemen. My non-binary folks, I'm sparing you because I know you guys, you're going to do it your own way. I'm not here to tell you what to think.
So I did come to you and remind you about spine tingling because I am feeling the same way, and I knew we were going to come to this. And again, I don't like to come without positive feedback on people that are working hard and clearly working. I had that for Percy, and we did love that. He has a Miles Morales run that is right before I started, which I am now going to go and read because I would like to understand that. And then he also has no, I haven't read that one.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah. Oh, that's another one I like. Okay.
And then he has a Miss Marvel run that I do think is good. I haven't read all of it. I don't want to focus on that too much because I don't want to say that brown people can only write brown things. So I don't want to highlight that as like he should be writing that because they're perfect for each other. I don't want to do that, but I do think it's good. Yeah, I mean, but back to my original problem. He is writing Wolverine as though Percy's Wolverine is not happening, as though Deadpool and Wolverine is not happening, or as though Wolverines and Deadpools is not happening. He has a totally different take. He also took a risky swing, and I believe it failed. And I believe that it was just a misfire of an idea enough. Again, like just as an editor, I'm thinking to myself, I hear this pitch and we do this. And I love that our company does this. I think this one isn't going to work, buddy. I think we got to do something else. That is putting Romulus back in the book. We now and in the last 10 years have loved to resolve 90s kitsch in modern books. There's a lot of stupid stuff that happened in the 90s that we are now, with enough distance and with writer sophistication, we're able to pull some of those things, rework them, maybe show them to you from a different angle, and turn them into something. And this is not true of everything, but it does happen a lot. We're still a little too close to Romulus. Romulus is also like comics had moved into their more sophisticated era. This is something that we talked about on the bonus podcast when we were talking about the amalgam books, but like millennials grew up and we got more sophisticated taste, and we saw comics as an art form, and we thought good writing should be a part of them. When we were kids in the 90s, they wrote books for us like we were idiots, like we were kids, and who cares about, they're watching terribly written episodes of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and X-Men the Animated Series. The books don't need to be that good. We grew up with those books. We got exposed to the Invisibles. We got exposed to Sandman, Hellblazer, Grant Morrison's New X-Men, and comics. As we grew up and got into our 20s and 30s, always had a level of sophistication somewhere, but there was also a lot of bad writing, and I think Romulus is one of those things.
Ugh.
And so it's not just like iconography for kids that was never meant to be interesting. It was somebody's attempt at being interesting that failed. And we're also not that far from it. So trying to rework it now, I think was a mistake. That was a long-winded way of saying I don't think I absolutely understand what he's trying to do here. I would love to rehab Wolverine's origins, because some of them are really stupid. I just don't think we're there yet. I don't think this moved the dial.
Do you think that the desire to bring back Romulus, who, as you pointed out, I mean, he's only like 20 years old. Do you think the desire to bring back Romulus is a reflection of the fact that Jeff Loeb has the return to Age of Apocalypse at Marvel? He's got the return to Long Halloween at DC. He's got the return to Hush at DC. It's a really cool time to be somebody rehashing a Jeff Loeb property, especially if you're Jeff Loeb. Do you think Saladin Ahmed said, I want some of that sweet Loeb money? Like some kind of weird Ferengi coming after Loeb money.
I mean, I love where your head's at in terms of trying to figure out a fucking explanation for why we're doing this, but I have no idea. And it stresses me out. I don't know what else to say. It really does stress me out. I have no idea why we're doing. I even like the adamantine isn't the worst plot thing ever.
No, it's not. It's really not, because I'm a guy who has a very expensive Gold Ranger prop. I have the official like Legacy Gold Ranger staff, so like. Yeah, it turns out if you take something pretty common and you put it in black and gold, I'm going to think it's pretty interesting, I guess.
And I mean, like, adamantium is weird. Having it have, like, some sort of kind of spiritual, cosmological entity. But yeah, sure, I'm fine with that. But I don't... I mean, and having the other people with adamantium, that's fine too. I guess it's not the most interesting thing in the world to me, but I really don't hate it. When we got to Romulus, I was like, you're doing it again, dude. You liked this idea, like you liked Nyla's skin, and it's not. I don't care that you. I mean, I guess I do care that you like it, because you should do what you like. But I guess like my thing is like, okay, you got to recognize that it's not going to be for everyone, and maybe it's not going to be for anyone. I don't know anybody who's crazy about this book right now. And then we just move into, we sort of put a pin in that adamantine Romulus storyline, which I never like. It just disappeared into the sewer grate, and Romulus is gone too. Again, that's like as an editor, I'm like, I love you so much, you can't submit that as the ending. You got to do something else.
As somebody who has edited my writing this week, I can tell you guys, he literally goes, stuff's got to go somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it does. And not down the sewer grate. So okay, we'll come back to that later. Now we're taking this weird diversion into more Wolverine origin stuff, but this time it's his mom. And of course it's not his mom who died 100 years ago. The fact that he buys it off of one letter, that he is not like, I'm more skeptical of this than I've been of anything in my life, but I'm bored and it's Saturday and I'm going to fuck with a telemarketer on the phone. That would be a funny book. That would be a funny thing if he was like, I'm fully aware this is the stupidest thing this is the stupidest idea to get me in the history of stupid ideas to get me. And I'm going along with it because I'm super bored, and Rogue said I'm not allowed to come home for 2 weeks because she and Gambit want the house themselves. There were a billion ways to make this something silly fun, because we're at Legacy issue 400 apparently, so after that much Wolverine, why are we not trying to just do something a little different? But no, it is dead 100% serious, and then it turns out to just be Mastermind fucking with Wolverine.
I've never wanted the Marvel universe to just say, we're so old, we're like the DC universe, nothing matters anymore so much.
Yeah.
Life, as wanting to go back to Dark Wolverine. I think Logan should be off in the background, snuggling kittens, and Logan should be getting Detective Comics 1100 stories, but they just won't retire him far enough.
Yeah.
And you're so right, because the problem here is, if this was an Akahiro story, I would think this is a 100 out of 100. I would say, wow, what a way to take a story that I hate, anything involving Romulus and pretty much anything involving Mastermind, and turning it into something that I appreciate, a transposition of character against someone new so that this other villain can shine. What we got here was sloppy and basic, and unfortunately, by the point that Mastermind shows up dressed like he is on his way to a Vincent Price look-alike meet and greet, we're just out of the mindset. Because here's the thing: if you're going to show up and you're going to say this is a Wolverine book, I'm the guy bringing back Sabretooth right after you brought back Romulus, I'm going to believe you. And if you're going to bring up Wolverine's dead mummy shortly after saying I'm the guy who brought back Romulus, I'm going to believe you. But then when it's ultimately just Mastermind, well, my friend, you just shot your credibility. You just told me that you use Photoshop all the time. So now all of your incredible, can you believe I accomplished this photos just don't seem real anymore. This was an example of where somebody had an opportunity to do something really cool and instead played it safe. And I don't know if I should blame editorial or if I should blame a lack of a clear idea, but Saladin Ahmed taking Wolverine, maybe from my outsiders, not actually in this man's mind's perspective, feels like, well, I was offered the biggest thing, I had to take it. Even if it's not the right fit. I love Hugh Jackman's musical theater, but I would never want to see Hugh Jackman perform Sweeney Todd.
I think you just cursed yourself with that one, friend.
Not one man or 100 can assuage me. Ha ha! Have ya?
Yeah, I mean, it's what a weird thing to be like, the stakes have never been higher. Just kidding. The stakes have never been lower. The stakes could not matter less. Did I just trick you into reading these issues? Ha ha. Nope. Nothing relevant happened here. Mastermind isn't a relevant villain even. He doesn't have anything to say to the X-Men, to Wolverine. And he ends this arc just being like, just another day of being the world's most miserable person. And that's just how this arc ends. His mother was never alive. It was a Mastermind illusion that tricked him, that he just completely got tricked by. Sabretooth was never alive. It was a Mastermind illusion.
And he even says stuff like, are you surprised I'm alive? And Wolverine's like, I guess?
He's like, I am, but I feel like I shouldn't be, but I don't know how to express that in the pages of this book.
It undermines its own intensity at every opportunity.
Yeah, then it just is like, and this arc is over. Next arc, Godfather for a day. I don't know what that means, but I have never been more certain in my life that there's nothing in there in Godfather for a day for me.
And I hope it doesn't involve a godchild. I hope instead it's like he has to fill in for Viper as Godfather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just going to a Scorsese marathon.
Yeah.
At a theater. Nothing happens.
It's actually the worst torture Romulus has ever come up with. He has to sit through Megalopolis.
That would be the darkest possible.
Hey, so can I just say the darkest possible timeline for me is in a lot of ways that Laura Kinney is treated as so much less than what she is, as somebody who feels like, I say a lot, I have an emotional relationship with Christian Siriano because Project Runway was my favorite show when I was in college, and Christian Siriano would have been in college, but he was literally so talented he graduated early. And I grew up with this man, this queer icon who showed me that it's okay to say I'm sorry and grow, and it's all right to work with marshals, I guess. And he gave me a lot of inspiration, and I am so grateful for what I've learned from him. Not to be silly, but timeline wise, actually Laura Kinney, the same. And she showed me it's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay to be part of my favorite franchise, and be part of the worst parts of it, and be part of critically acclaimed elements that never really catch on, and then be a part of critically reviled elements that everybody talks about. And I genuinely think that Laura Kinney is the Nightwing of the Marvel universe, whereas Akahiro for me is perhaps the Jason Todd. And I'm very,
Is
very, very
Jubilee still the Tim Drake Robin?
yeah. Oh my
Okay,
God. Does anybody?
yeah.
Yeah. No. And of course,
Sure.
you. I'm so glad you said it because it makes you the super genius. But Laura Kinney Wolverine by Erica Schultz, Giada Belviso. I'm so glad somebody reclaimed that name from that horrible woman on Food Network. Oh, she's my nemesis, Giada on
She's the
Food
worst.
Network. She is my literal. I hope she watches. I
Yeah.
hope she wants to have me
Yeah.
on Chef versus Chef.
Yeah.
I will go up against you and I will put my knives in front of Layla Ali.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, I won't. She would eat me like a fucking amuse-bouche. It was colored by Rochelle Rosenberg, and my opinion was colored by being a huge Bobby Flay hater for a long time.
Yes.
Corey Pettit did the letters, and over in Wolverines and Deadpools, we got Cody Ziegler, Jorge Antonio, Guru EFX, and Travis Lanham. These are both for me solid Bs, because they're both excellent. They're just not allowed to move canon forward at all.
Real quick, who do we have on the one we just did? Wolverine. We didn't do Wolverine credits. Solid and Ahmed.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
For Wolverine, we had Solid and Ahmed and Daniel Warren Johnson, who a lot of people might recognize from that terrific Beta Ray Bill arc a couple of years ago, who did a backup story in issue 400. The pencils and inks were by Martin Coccolo, Daniel Warren Johnson, and Javier Pina did the 2-issue fill-in at the beginning of the Mastermind arc. Brian Valenza does some of the best noir colors at Marvel, and he lent his pencil here. Mike Spicer did the colors for a couple of the issues. I'm actually not as familiar with his material, but he worked on the Javier Pina issues. And then Corey Pettit, just the absolute Marvel goat for letters is, of course, putting the words in everybody's bubbles.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Legitimately, I'm tired of accidentally not crediting people for their incredibly hard work.
And so Erica Schultz is doing the same thing.
She's not crediting us for loving her enough.
Yeah, exactly. She never gives us credit. I don't know if it is because she is a woman in this incredibly boys club male dominated field who has just been working at a higher level and being treated like she's not. If it's the kind of person that she is, if it's the tier of Marvel writer that she's at where she's not a Percy or a Hickman, but she's doing the same thing as Ahmed and Percy. She's just doing it with a little more deference and a little more like, I made sure that my sandbox isn't connected to your sandbox before I made the rules of my sandbox. Like, what's really frustrating about both Percy and Ahmed is that Wolverine is supposed to be everywhere, and the things that they say and do with him could go into so many, like putting the ONE in, again, like it's the thing with the ONE being in there, and the fact that like we have other organizations that are monitoring mutants and kind of hating them, but there's no conversation happening between the two. So he just created an entire new director of mutant hating that we don't need, is not talking to any of the others.
A new Grandmaster General, if you will.
Truly, he brought in another Apocalypse when Marvel specifically was like, okay, we're getting rid of Apocalypse. Erica Schultz has some really specific ideas about what's going on with Laura, and they don't play the best ever with, like, it's not her fault. I don't think New Avengers is particularly great, and the conception of Laura in that book is rough stuff. But like, those two books aren't necessarily, I mean, I guess I have to blame New Avengers for that because it came later. But again, like, it's just sort of, it's its own thing. She has her very specific concept about Laura's world. And she kind of like, she's great about referencing stuff like what happened in NYX, but she's keeping Laura a little bit siloed. And the only reason
I actually only want to say it, but I am literally compelled because there is this like romanticizable Grunbook Schultz verse where like all of the same incredible characters live because they're sharing Lady Bullseye in a cool way. And like, you're so right. They're siloed, but it's like a sexy, cool, smart brain club only. You have to have like this super cool level of like upper echelon thinking about characters, or you can't write here.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing is I'm like, I don't know if it's just because like the women are better because they have to write circles around the men to be treated at all equally, which they're not, because Erica Schultz is still, I mean, like, thankfully this book is maybe a maxi, maybe a slightly ongoing, I don't know, but the certainly the Electra Daredevil books were not. But I mean, she has kept Laura a little bit contained, not in a way that I think is bad. But my problem with it is if so many writers are writing this way, again, it's up to editorial to make things work. And the problem is not that writers are writing this way. It's maybe a little bit of a problem, but the problem is there's a whole other branch of the government that is supposed to do checks and balances here, and it's called editorial. And I don't think there's a lot that you need to edit with Erica Schultz, but when it's in the Wolverine family and the other two big guys are just doing whatever they want and nobody's saying to them like, these ideas are such good first drafts, what's your second, how can we develop this, like, then it reflects on the whole line in a way that I guess my point is like because I unfortunately did not start with Laura Kinney Wolverine, and maybe if I had, I would not be having this commentary, but getting to that third after Wolverine and Deadpool and Wolverine, I was just kind of like, things were starting to frustrate me about the Wolverine verse. And
I completely agree.
And again, it's not her fault. She didn't write anything that I think is untoward, unlike, putting Apocalypse in the book. It was a little like there's a Gabby's like 13. What is a child doing in Paris by herself? I actually love it because like I love a Dylan McKay. Like I love a child where you're like, that's a literal child that has no parents. Like that child has no legal guardian. Because I was a little bit that child a lot of the time. Like my parents were still around, but I was places without a legal guardian for long stretches of weeks.
You also did severe damage to your eyes by always squinting.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens when you're smoking weed all day. But Laura's just like, oh, you've been in Paris. I should have been watching out for you. Wolverine doesn't care. It's so weird to me that Wolverine is like, Laura is my daughter and I would burn the house down for her. Who are Akihiro and Gabby? I don't know those two. Like the actual child that you made the way children normally get made, and then another clone that you're just like, not that one. I don't like that one.
No, she's showing up over in the pages of what is it? But where did Bologna show up? Elektra?
She was in Elektra, yeah, but Gabby was not there.
Erica Schultz is just like, I'm the queen of all female Wolverine.
Yeah, I'll take all of them. And like, again, kind of my editing thing is like the company just lets her because they don't care about this character, which I'm happy with because it means that a great set of characters go to a great writer.
Yes.
But I'm also just kind of like, I don't think this happened because you guys were like, I trust Erica Schultz to steward the female Wolverines. I think it happened because you were like, sure, we don't care, do whatever you want.
A lot of the greatest runs of all time are because nobody is looking.
Right, exactly. And so great for us, but also I'm just like, you guys aren't looking at anyone. What are you doing all day? Like, so this is a great book. I love how she explores the interiority of Laura's life and who Laura is as an adult young woman.
Man, you are literally the interiority. You are literally saying like the $20,000 word right now.
Yeah, like this is a great superhero book, but it's not about superhero Laura. Like we've done a lot of superhero Laura. This is about Laura the person whose job is superhero. And Erica Schultz does a really phenomenal job of giving us that. And like, the first person we all think of when somebody says that is Buffy. And one of the big storylines that comes right before Gabby is a beautiful Buffy reference. It is a beautiful reference to the Buffy episode where she comes to believe that
I love your use of reference.
Yeah.
It
may be doing some heavy lifting in this episode, but I refuse to talk shit about Erica Schultz. I love her so much, and the children today do not watch Buffy anymore, so they don't know about that episode. So it's new to them. Must
you are TV, a king, bitch. Sir.
But yeah, I mean, it is essentially the entirety of the Buffy episode where she believes she's in an asylum and is hallucinating Sunnydale. But I will say she steals that concept whole cloth and then does more with it. Like Buffy never thinks about that again on the show.
Right.
She never wonders what was going on there. Buffy was both serialized and episodic, so it had elements that carried over episode to episode, and then it would have, Monster of the Week. And it was shocking how often they would leave character growth on the table from the Monster of the Week element of the episode. Even though the character absolutely would grow, again, you have these moments where she never again is like, why was that my fantasy when I was in the, why was it happening this way? But that's exactly what Erica Schultz does. It is issues later, the storyline resolves itself and she's still asking herself why she pictured certain things in the fantasy world that she was having. And that's where, that's another place where I'm like, yeah, she steal a whole cloth? Yeah. But then she did something more with it that Buffy never did.
I also want to say she managed to do something really important, which was she managed to adultify a character with a complicated sexual past without sexualizing her. I feel like because Laura worked in sex work in a way that was not treated with the world's greatest respect, no offense, Joey Q, actually full offense, Joey Q, sex workers deserve respect. Laura has always been the adult child, and here she got to be given the opportunity to be proposed to without, I felt, Julian ever touching her inappropriately. Like,
no.
I think pulling up Haymaker was a joke. Sorry, too deep a lore. We got to start talking about this fucking deep lore shit. I have mine. I have the stuff that I don't let go. But we got to start talking to writers about what it does to the accessibility of these titles. But Julian, Hellion is going to be an Emma Frost 10 years from now. A lot of, not to be weird, but like, so straight twinks are a thing, and this is tough for me, but like straight twinks are real, and they all like comics or anime or sci-fi or gaming, and they're these skinny straight dudes who are super into their feelings and also love elements of gay culture, and they enjoy Drag Race, and they are actually legitimate heterosexuals that are the ones that are allies, belong in the community. And they're going to be a generation of writer, and they're going to affect what comes next. And I believe Julian Keller is going to be their poster child.
I love that perspective. I mean, yeah, if that doesn't happen, it's just because like that guy never got on, or a woman, that person never got on staff who had that idea. But I think you're right. I mean, I think he is Emma's star pupil in a lot of ways, and I could absolutely see him having her very similar path. And he's a great character, and their relationship is homegrown. I mean, like it's from the ground up. It's from I sort of ship her with Kaiden. But I also ship her being asexual. I ship her being polysexual.
No one would ever support the person I ship her with. So I'm just not going to get into this game.
I'll take a DM when we're when we're off air or something, because I do want to know. But yeah, I'm fine with her with Julian, and I mean I think them having any kind of having relationship drama to stuff a book is perfectly fine. In the same way that like I think her and Gabby having daughter sister drama is fine. I mean, she does her best with it. Erica Schultz does her best with it. It's not her responsibility because this started before. I think it's weird to have a 13-year-old out in the world with no supervision and nobody
getting goopified
and nobody addresses it. It's fine because she's a Wolverine. Like there, I think my point earlier when I was like, this is kind of me, is like kids experience that kind of neglect and are okay, and it's not justified. There's no justifying it, but there is a thing where you can point to it and be like, yeah, I should probably have parents around, but I don't, and I'm alive, and like I'm thriving in my own way. It's weird to me that Wolverine is taking care of 4 kids in Louisiana, but not his clone daughter. But we have another book where he's like, this is my daughter, and we do everything together. And it's even called Wolverines plural, so there's no reason they couldn't have more than one. There's also no reason that this should be Laura and not Gabby, because Gabby is Ellie's age.
Just to raise those stakes, why isn't it Laura and Gabby?
Sure, yeah, fuck yeah.
Like it's
the relationship between and there's also another book. So and there we go again. Like Percy's writing Deadpool and Wolverine and Deadpool, and like that's currently happening. When is Wolverines and Deadpool's happen? Like what? Who is not mentioning that time? Like is Percy's character not mentioning, or is Percy's Wolverine and Deadpool not mentioning the time that they took their daughters on a mission? Or is Ziegler not mentioning the time that they were puppets for Strife Apocalypse?
You know, and it's even funny because like if what you told me was the entirety of the Marvel universe existed on the backs of Apocalypse, and that there is an Apocalypse named Ragnarok, and he is the Apocalypse of Asgard. And like, if you told me the whole universe existed on the idea that there are endings to every world and they're all this guy, and that's why he feels so special, and that's why Krakoa and him is so matriarchal. Like, honestly, when people are like, wow, Daddy A is so cool, I'm like, no, he's cool, but he's Frau Totenkinder. Like, he's not an original idea. And like, I feel very specifically like we have lost the opportunity for Wolverine to become an old man, because he started as an old man, whereas Bruce Wayne started as a young man, so he could age. Until you accept that Hal Jordan is a cool idea, but Parallax is the best thing that ever happened to him, because it broke the Precious, right? Like, the Precious factor is so tough, you know. In humans, it's vaguely the hymen, but in fictional characters, it's bursting that purity. It's breaking through what makes them so special. That Wolverine needs to be the man of action is the thing holding Wolverine back. That he could be the Nick Fury at times. I'm sorry, but like that. We all kind of agree that the Steve Rogers Super Soldier costume is the best version of the Captain America look. It's basically what if he ran around in gray Hamilton. It's great. And we get into this place where we can't let these characters grow. Laura should be the Wolverine in Wolverines and Deadpools. And the Wolverines should be Gabby. You're completely right. But we're really afraid of that. You know, honestly, something I would love, and this is so dumb, but I would love to be the guy that writes Annalie losing his other arm, and when it grows back, it has claws, and he becomes the Gabby to Akahiro's Laura. That'd be super fun. I would love to do that. A bisexual man helping coach a queer young man on how to be the greatest man he can be as they're both learning together. Oh, man, that is my life with Jonah. I love that. That's beautiful. But it's because you would remove Wolverine from the equation. And I think that is where we're at. It's time for Wolverine to graduate to what he deserves, which is grandpahood, because we can all agree that at this point, grandpas are a kind of men.com sexy.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed a lot of the salient points. I'm so curious. I do think they're afraid to do Wolverines where the Wolverines are Laura and Gabby. And I would love to, because it does sort of feel like the pitch was, what's going to get more hype than Wolverine and Deadpool? Wolverines and Deadpools. Like, just add more and it will double the audience. And I have to imagine the audience is like half. And I'm sure the number one sold really well because people were really interested. And then there was an enormous drop off because it's just another Marvel book and it is doing what it's doing. How bad might the sales have been if it were Laura and Gabby, and how bad did they fear they would be? And what's the point of, I don't know. I mean, what books sell well? You know what? I don't know. Like Wolverines and Deadpools just does not seem like a concept designed to impress with its sales past issue 1. And there's a book called Wolverine and Deadpool out already right now, which is Logan and Deadpool, which is with a thing from the movie. Doing a second thing is not going to drastically help anybody, but doing Laura and Gabby and Ellie and Wade can be there. Sure. That's funny. Like whatever. It doesn't have to all be, like I'm saying, it doesn't, we don't have to do a thing where everything is female, like girl power. So it's all girls. Like a funny thing would be if it was 3 women in Wade. That's actually, I think, a phenomenal pitch for a book. I don't think it's going to sell the best ever, but I don't really think Wolverines and Deadpools is selling the best ever anyway. So why not do the more interesting thing, the thing that gets more women characters screen time, the thing that takes a risk, does something. I don't know. I can't really speak to it, but Cody Ziegler also writing from his pool of characters, Deadpool, haha. I have not read this Deadpool run.
It's so good.
I read the first couple issues. I even think it is. I think his Deadpool voice is great. You can't get me anymore, Marvel. You can't get me every time. You can't get me to buy everything. I'm sick of this shit. I don't think you're supporting the character, so I'm not going to do the work for you because I'm still going back to the Alyssa Wong Deadpool that I think, it sucks because if I say I think Alyssa Wong's Deadpool should still be running, I'm saying Cody Ziegler shouldn't be. And I don't want to say that because Cody Ziegler is great and he does have a good Deadpool voice, but like I feel like we just paved over the Wong run. I mean, we pulled some things from it, like the fucking Carnage dog, but is that enough?
I thought you missaid the wrong run for a second,
no.
and then I realized but we did actually. We paved over the wrong run.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we also paved over the wonderful King of Staten Island run.
Yeah. I mean, this is Cody Ziegler is partially responsible because he's writing like that because he's writing his own thing that's not super referential to the back material again, except for the Carnage dog. And he took this big swing creating the daughter of Deadpool. And I love that, but his run is now so about that. And if you're not reading it, Wolverines and Deadpools is not the most user-friendly start. which is fine because what is this book?
It legitimately just feels like the next issue of his Deadpool run.
Right,
because it's crazy because the last arc was Deadpool crossing over with his Miles Morales run. So this really could have just been the next issue.
Yeah. And so Ziegler's writing in the Ziegler-verse. Also, I finally realized what it is. I keep saying Toby Ziegler. That's what I keep wanting to say, Toby Ziegler.
Toby.
Yeah. None of it's bad.
No.
It's his own stuff, and he's really invested in it. And it doesn't crazy feel like he's super invested in anybody else's stuff. It doesn't feel like he's crazy invested in Laura and Erica Schultz's Laura to write his Laura. You know, certainly we're not pulling, as I said, there's no reference to Percy's Deadpool and Wolverine. All we did was add an S, and yet we cannot connect these books. Certainly no reference to Ahmed. We have no idea when any of these books take place in relation to each other. We have no idea how Wolverine gets everywhere. This doesn't really reference X-Men, Uncanny X-Men. It's okay, but I don't know what to do with all that.
B's, as long as they exist on their own, B minuses if they have to engage with anything else.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit higher for Erica Schultz, maybe more like a B plus, because I just feel like she's a really good writer.
Yeah, she's truly.
Yeah. But yeah, this is the Wolverine line is a mess. And it really is frustrating because it just feels like people are not saying, let's all summit and I need you each to talk to each other and then pitch me 3 ideas for how your books are connected.
Oh, I love that.
I don't know anything. I guess when we're paying everybody the least we possibly can, making those meetings happen is too expensive. But I just don't, where is the pride in the workmanship otherwise?
Yeah. And that is where I think I'd love to leave Wolverine and move over to Batman, because I feel like there is an incredible unevenness in major Bat quality. The 2 main books that should always be considered Batman are Batman and Detective Comics. Mm-hmm. Hush 2 is one of the worst things I've come in contact with out of DC in the last decade. Jeff Loeb, Jim Lee, Scott Williams, Alex Sinclair, Richard Starkings. I don't even have a whole lot to say. It is so paint by the numbers. It just feels like a 90s movie. It's just bad. There is no adaptation of Hush that is good, and it turns out the sequel goes on that list. I am beyond disappointed that this is like a C- for me. But Detective Comics 1100, the book of the year, because Batman saves a puppy. He saves a big. I literally had tears streaming down my face as a guy who's only become a dog owner in the last 2 years. I could never imagine what my dog meant to me. I could never imagine what it meant.
Keep it together, dude. I can't both be crying on screen. You also are forgetting a really important element that makes it even worse.
That it is Batman taking care of a deaf child.
And it's enough said. There's no dialogue. It is a Batman story, no dialogue, where Batman is signing to a deaf boy that he's going to get his fucking dog back, and then he gets the dog back. I told NICO show canceled on account of the fact that I will never recover from this story. Yeah, it is just so much. It's so beautiful. If you read anything, read Detective Comics 1100, because frankly, we're going to talk about it. Just the rest of the stories are great too, but like that is just so fucking good. It is just such a good story.
It's almost hard to talk about because like there's an ilk of writer that are Matt Fraction and of course Tom Taylor. Just to throw it out there, Detective Comics, Tom Taylor, Mariko Tamaki, Greg Rucka coming back to do more Gotham Central. What a gift. Dan Watters doing a sort of like goodbye to Dark Patterns in a cool way. That leaves us with arc by Mikhail Yanin, Amake Nopalpan, Alvaro Martinez Bueno and Bill Sienkiewicz, with colors by Arif Prianto, Giovanni Nero, and letters by Wes Abbott, Ariana Marr, and Tom Napolitano. This whole issue was kind of like an instruction manual for Wolverine 400 on what to get better next time. I just thought we were looking at one of the best issues about a superhero, because like the idea that this is what he does every night, there's a wall of this. It reinvented what we think of Batman's off time, because what does Batman do between the arcs? It's this. And it's the humanity of this as opposed to the prestige of Hush 2, which fuck your fucking, your Tommy Elliott's now. He's nothing compared to saving this dog. Saving this dog, it's Nichiren. It's Buddhist philosophy. With every small decision, you change a heart and you change the world. This is a character that should become a superhero in 16 years when a young deaf writer has the opportunity to start writing Batman. This is going to change the world. And it is based out of the strength of a single idea. What if Batman took care of a child who had different needs? What a moment. What a breathtaking moment to be a fan of something that is 100 years old. How cool to be around for Detective Comics 1100.
Does Batman have a dog? Who's that dog?
Ace the Bat Hound?
Is that what that is?
Ace the Bat Hound. He's Batman's super dog.
Okay. It's just a really well-trained dog.
He's a bat dog.
But he's not like it's not like Crypto.
No, but neither is Batman like Superman.
Yeah, so, Batman's just a really well-trained human. Like
well,
the dog is really well-trained. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the first time I've ever seen that dog.
In your life? Did you never watch Super Pets?
No.
Ace the Bat Hound is like the only mistake they made in the entirety of Batman Beyond is that it's not Ace the Bat Hound still in the future.
I do remember that he had a dog in Batman Beyond, but yeah, they don't show that dog a lot. Okay, so hold on. We talked about this last time we caught up on Batman. I also did not enjoy Hush. I thought there was a lot to say that was wrong about it. This issue might have slapped him a little bit. This issue might have slapped a smidgen. Come on. Just a smidge. That last splash page. Come on. You like that last splash page. Riddler was there. He looks so hot. Come on.
Okay, actually, my notes are who is making jacked hot Riddler for no reason. For those of you who don't know, I had a weird sexual coming of age thinking, well, if you just made the Riddler hot, gay, and buff, he'd be the greatest DC superhero ever. And so I have a weird sexual fascination with the Riddler. I don't understand. I'm really attracted to Jim Carrey when he plays villains. I don't know what that's about, but like his Robotnik is so hot. It's ugly. And Riddler is, it's like Riddler and Zod. There's just like, they are like the hottest men in the DC villainry. And like, and Lex when he's being a good guy, I guess. Riddler is so hot. And for no reason, making Riddler part of this team was...
Come on. It slapped a little bit. Like a little bit. It's not good. It's not...
Okay, that's what it is. It's not good. There's no reason for it. It's not good. Okay, yes.
We were 100% clear on the fact that this is not a great story. Like, this is not good. But this issue... So, and I will also say... I do think he's on to something talking about Batman's refusal to kill being a liability. I think this is not the first time that's come up, and I know that. And I think probably other people have written it better. But this is for me. And again, like, is this for me? Because I was not buying Batman a year ago, and now I'm a Batman buyer, and I still need to be sold. Batman's not my favorite. But this has the ring of Barbara, victim of Joker, versus Batman, person who keeps letting Joker live. has a very fascinating ring to me of a twist of Daredevil versus Punisher. Where Matt, this guy that we root for, is up against this force of nature, and the force of nature is just saying, I absolutely will kill anyone to take out the bad guys. And you have Batgirl, who we love. It's Barbara. She's so beautiful and so cool and so interesting, saying to Batman, this force of nature, this really well-trained human, I will do whatever it takes to never kill. And is that good? If you're letting Nazis live, are you the good guy?
Yeah, she's sort of like, look at what happened to my daddy. I have to kill you now. Meanwhile, Bane is like, I find myself inexplicably willing to work with Damian Wayne.
That is nonsense. That is just absolute nonsense. Sort of, again, like, this is such Batman Forever and Batman and Robin.
Yes, it is literally them. Yes,
and that is not a compliment, but
Jeff
do
Loeb
love those
is the
movies.
Joel Schumacher of comics.
He do be Schumaching. And there's just a lot that's to say that is not great, but that splash page, that last page of this fucking issue, is real hot girl shit. Who is that Huntress?
That's Huntress.
What's her name again?
Helena.
But she's a crime family daughter, right?
It's not actual Huntress. In my head, all Huntresses are Helena Wayne. Like, right. In my head, yes. I think this one is related to Batwoman. I'd have to double check. Honestly, I feel so bad.
She's the daughter of one of the crime families.
I believe you're correct. Honestly, I feel so bad, but Huntress is one of those things where I'm just sort of like, it's like crumble cookies. Oh, I know what happens. And when people are like, oh, it's gay now, I'm like, cool. But like, I also don't really care what happens when it's in the news.
Mine is Helena Kyle from Birds of Prey, the TV show. And
she had such a mannish jaw.
You are the worst kind of person. And so I'm always waiting for her, but we don't have her. Anyway, that's a great last page. Catwoman being there, I'll carry us over. So cool.
Meow.
Nice to see a Jim Lee drawn Catwoman across from just, I don't know what we're doing with this Riddler. I mean, what is happening here? He's so hot. But way to go, Jim Lee. You really you did it. But Catwoman's here, and she's Logan. How can she be here? Because she's currently overseas doing nonsense. There's really not much to what.
She's finally in the Catwoman suit in her own book.
Yeah, exactly. That was my big note about this issue. Not much of an update from last one. I mean, this is it does really feel like Matt Reeves was like, hey, if you guys could storyboard and experiment on a Catwoman story for me that would play out like the Batman, that would be really useful, because if audiences like this book, I'll just do this. And it has it just feels like, it feels like it should be called Selena Kyle Catwoman, because it's really just about Selena Kyle having an overseas adventure, and it's a perfectly good one, but I don't super care. It has nothing to do with the rest of the DC universe. And
it barely has to do with itself.
Yeah, it doesn't really have to do with itself. It's a very, like, I don't know, it's a neat story, but I just also, this writer maybe had this story as like, it just was a woman, it wasn't Catwoman. And then DC was like, we will take it, just you should put her in the cat suit at some point, which is what happened. And okay, I mean, it's not bad, but every month I find myself sort of like, this is great, I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, Torrin Grunbeck, Danilo Beyruth, Nathan Seti, Patricio Delpish, and Steve Wands over on Catwoman 78 are providing me an adequate ending to a title that seems like it really wants to end. This reminds me a lot of later Saladin Ahmed's Daredevil, where it feels like it sort of understands that that it's not going to change the universe, and it wants to get to where the artists can change the universe. So whether it's the next run of this or it's them all moving to a new title, this is a B- from me for a writer that's an A artist. Gotham City Sirens, Unfit for Orbit, the other book featuring Catwoman. This wrapped up. It had Williams, Haining, Placinia, and Levin. And this did its 5 issues of Exterminators over at Gotham. And I'm very positive on it, but very bored because I know that it's not getting referenced tomorrow. Catwoman, along with this Tate Bromble Batgirl book, I feel like we are Wolverine spinning our wheels on Batwomen, and I'm feeling like that's not what's going on for Bat Boys. Robins and Nightwings are getting their opportunity to shine. So where is that for Batwomen?
Yeah, I mean, we are kind of in the same place about this book. Lost my train of thought for a second. Keep going.
In that same sort of breath in talking about that, I do feel like part of the other problem with like Tate Bromble's Batgirl, we're covering issues 9 and 10 with art by Takeshi Miyazawa, Mike Spencer, and Tom Napolitano. I have now said his name 6 different ways and I've only said it twice. The thing about this book that I'm really feeling is like Catwoman, I can never tell what's deep cuts of canon and what's this writer having really cool original ideas. And I'm here for every cool original idea that every writer wants to bring to me. But I sometimes find myself feeling like I don't know what I don't know. In a sender-receiver relationship, the burden of proof has to be on the sender, not the receiver. Otherwise, the receiver should be renamed the psychic. And the sender is responsible for communicating those ideas. Between Catwoman and Batgirl, I feel like I'm not given all of the ideas I need. And yet, with Gotham City Sirens, a book that does not matter, one figglestick, I feel like all of the things I need to know are presented. Do you know who these characters are? Great. Have a great time.
Did you do the team for Gotham City Sirens?
Did I what?
Did you do the credits for Gotham City Sirens?
Thank you. Yes, I did.
Okay.
Because the artist, for whatever reason, is listed by their last name, Haining, and I'm like, have a first name.
This is what I was getting to, and this is what I completely lost because I got on a thought tangent about FlameCon because we talked about this book a lot at FlameCon. We did a panel. It was a X-Men podcast meetup, and there were a bunch of great X-Men podcasters there. And we were talking about great runs, and a lot of people said Exterminators.
What a fabulous room! Not just
we had such a blast.
What a fucking fabulous room full of incredible queer voices.
I would do that once a month.
People were there too.
We started talking about, somebody, a question came up about great runs and somebody mentioned Exterminators and everybody just obviously loved it. And Leah Williams was at FlameCon. So, we were, people were going to her and talking about Exterminators and talking about Gotham City Sirens. But so this was an X-Men podcast meetup. And when somebody mentioned Exterminators, we all sort of had this moment of lamenting the fact that Leah Williams is not writing anything for Marvel right now, and that Exterminators was a lovely mini, but we never got anything else. And then I brought up Gotham City Sirens, and I just started kind of going on about it for a while. But I realized, thankfully somebody cut me off, and I'm glad they did, because what I realized is like, it's exactly what you said. They did this to her at Marvel too. Like, Exterminators does not matter. Exterminators is never coming up again. That team, those 4 girls being friends is not a part of the post Krakoa years. We're not seeing Dazzler, we're not seeing Boom Boom, and we're not seeing Jubilee in the pages of Laura Kinney. Laura Kinney is not showing up to see Jubilee in Uncanny X-Men. Dazzler had a book. Those people didn't show up in it. Boom Boom is nowhere. So, you know, I feel bad for Leah Williams. Like, keeps getting done to her. I think people will reference the fact that Harley and Ivy are in a non-exclusive relationship, which is great, but I don't know that that's the only thing I would want to take from this. Ultimately, this is a great book. But I think you're exactly right. Like, this is not, Leah Williams could be writing books that set the tone for these three characters and how they're perceived showing up other places in the DC universe. And this just will kind of be a side adventure that we all loved, but has no meta plot weight. And I think that's, you know, with both companies, like, kind of the meta plot is really important right now. And it's just weird seeing who is writing it and who is not, and what elements are being taken and what is not. Nothing from Catwoman really is going to get us there. And Batgirl, like, because I'm new to Batgirl, because I'm new to Cassandra Cain, and I've never read a Cassandra Cain book, or actually a book with Cassandra Cain in it. Really, maybe like an issue or two in the last year, but really nothing long-term with her in it. This is one of those things where I'm like, is this for me a little bit? Like, is this for a new reader like me to come in and meet this character? Because I know a lot about her now. And the reveal that this character that she meets up with is her brother was not surprising. I mean, it is a smidge telegraphed, but I enjoyed the drama of it. I enjoyed the fun of it. And so again, this is another book where I'm like, this is for me a little bit. This is, Jim Lee drawing Catwoman and Riddler and Damian and Nightwing, and Batgirl and Bruce. That's for new readers. That's a little bit of a chocolatey treat. But is that what the Batman line needs right now? I don't know. I mean, it's the gold standard of comic sales. So I don't know that attracting new readers is the best way to spend all of your money.
Especially when it feels like it's coming across in these side titles. I feel like people are probably buying Hush, sure. And that falls into what you're saying. I don't think Detective Comics is that at all. I think, like, Detective Comics is nuanced, and like somebody coming in off the street looking for an action-packed Batman story is going to be like, this one's a little boring. I actually feel like they might even get that from Long Halloween, which, just to throw it out there, Long Halloween 8, Jeff Loeb, Becky Cloonan, Dave Stewart, Richard Starkings. I'm really sad because I love Long Halloween as a concept, but God, the actual book is not good. I have to give this one a bit of a low grade. I should also want to throw out there, we're going to mention Batman and Robin Year 1, Mark Waid, Chris Samney, Matthias Lopez, and Clayton Cowles. Batman and Robin 23-24, Philip Kennedy Johnson, Miguel Mendonca, Marcelo Mayo, and Steve Wands, as well as Batman Dark Patterns, Dan Waters, Hayden Sherman, Triona Farrell, and Frank Satevic. This is kind of like a what's left, unfortunately. I did not feel super compelled by any of this other than Batman and Robin Year 1, and that's because I'm a Wade Samney junkie.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something really important about what goes on in Batman and Robin with Damian coming into who he is as a young man. And this idea that he wants to be both the heir of Bruce Wayne, the son of Bruce Wayne, and the disciple of Batman, but he also wants to, like, work at a hospital. I don't know. There's something really interesting happening with Damian's character growth in this book. And then there's a lot of stuff happening that's not especially interesting. It's just another Batman noir, maybe eldritch horror mystery. I think the most insulting thing in this entire book where it was in the year 2025, 100 years after this character was created, to the point where we will be going to public domain very soon. He says, after everything that has happened to this man, he goes, I don't know if supernatural stuff is real. Again, you're as an editor, I'm just like, I'm not able to accept this blurb. Like, the rest of your script is perfect.
Your son is made of magic.
Yeah, I mean, like, you guys are on your space base half the time trying to figure out what to do about the universe that's made of your worst enemy. Like, you're not sure if somebody can put on a mask and be a scary demon. Also, there are demons, which you know about. You know about Trigon and Etrigan.
You literally spent the issue with Etrigan.
So it's a little weird that he's like, who knows? And it's not tongue-in-cheek. It's not him telling that. Or if it is, it's written way too straight-laced. But the Damien stuff felt really important. I don't know if it actually will be is the thing, because we're back to that idea. Like, in a vacuum... I don't know if this is in a vacuum. I don't know. But it feels important, and it feels like really important Damien character growth. I love Damien, and I was so like, it's stupid, but that little fucking thing that he drew at the end talking about who he wants to be, again, it just felt important.
The Junie Bob pages. Yeah.
Batman and Robin year one. Yeah. I mean, it's really well written. These Batman interquels and like fleshing out Batman's past, there's so much of it, dude. Like, it's 50% of what we do with this character. Maybe more than 50% of what we do with this character. Yeah, because with Batman specifically, of the stuff that we read today, what is current continuity? It's Hush and Batman and Robin.
And Detective Comics.
Yeah, Detective Comics, the book, but not this one. This issue is all like...
Do you not think that the helping the young man story happened right now?
I know it's happening in present day, but it could be happening at any time in Batman's history.
Oh yeah, that's really fair. I really see the timelessness of the quality not affecting modern storytelling, but rather being a statement on Batman as a whole.
And I loved it for that. But like Batman and Robin, ideally Damian should be someone from now on who volunteers at a hospital at certain points when he shows up in a current Batman book. He says, like, I can't help out until after 3:00 because I'm at the hospital because I want to be like Grandpa Thomas. We should see that from now on. And then at some point, Batman in the future should say, Barbara, remember that time you threw me through a chimney because you were mad at me because I won't kill anybody? We should get that at some point. Basically, every other book is about some other time in Batman's past.
Yeah.
And it's the best version of that is Batman and Robin year one. Very well written, really funny, the self-referential stuff, Dick talking about the bat, like making funny jokes. It's great. It's all really, really great. But the thing I keep saying is I don't know what to do with these things. I enjoy them fine, but I'm starting to get my fill on being informed of who the character was. And I feel like it's very difficult for them to drive towards who the character currently is and is going to be.
That is the nature of my frustration the last year, as you've been, fairly and accurately so positive on so many of these introductory
Well, I've been catching
stories.
up. This
exactly,
is
yeah.
You've been ahead of me, which is great, as you should be, because you've had literal decades. But I can understand being very tired.
Yeah. And that's where I'm feeling really good about this. And like, I am so excited. I am going to the Dairy Queen to get my first ever which one because Friendly's has Fribbles, Dairy Queen has Blizzards. I'm getting my first ever Blizzard. I'm gonna hold it upside down in my car. It's not gonna fall out. No, it does fall out. I'm so upset. I'm an influencer who now has to get his car redetailed. Everything's sad. Do you know how hard it is to get milk out of Venetian leather? I am miserable in my Mazda. We're going to be talking about Speed Demon. No, we already did that. We're going to be talking about Legend of Darkclaw, for which I am extremely excited. We're going to be talking about Bruce Wayne, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., for which I am reasonably excited. But, you know, one of the things is that into each life, into every episode like this, there must be something that is the most significant. Now, Legend of Darkclaw, the fusion of Batman and Wolverine, should have been the most important point of conversation. But no, the fusion of a clone of Superman and a clone of Spider-Man is the first piece of amalgam to be reprinted in 20-something years. So when we talk about what I think is, like, I mean, we're talking about the John Holmes of amalgam stuff here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Meryl Streep's Wikipedia page for her awards list. We're talking Darkclaw, Bruce Wayne, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Spider-Boy. This is not a bonus episode that I would miss. Like, honestly, if I was a betting man, and I am not a betting man, I would say that this is one that is going to feature some characters that people have heard of.
I'm excited.
You know, the other reason I'm really excited is because there are so few characters that come to define what the amalgam experience is the way these two do. You know, Darkclaw and Spider-Boy. I guess Bruce Wayne, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. is there as well, but his name is so on the nose, it's almost hard to talk about. I'm excited. I feel good about this. KEVO, oh, KEVO, you are not just our producer, you are our favorite person to bring these ideas to that, you know, we get to say to you, you've heard of some of this stuff. You haven't heard of some of it. But I feel like the idea of a younger Spider-Man would have appealed to you when you were a kid. It would have pulled you in. And so I would love to, number one, find out where we can find you if we want to find out more things about what you think. But number two, I would love to know who you would pick in a fight. Would you pick Darkclaw or Spider-Boy?
Who's Darkclaw again?
Half
Wolverine
Batman,
and Batman.
half Wolverine.
Okay, right. Sorry.
No, you have no reason to be sorry because I threw this at
Listen,
you out of nowhere. It was like an amalgam hitting you in the face.
I had a completely different sign off prepared. Just sometimes when you give me a question, I'm like, because see, I wanted to say, I appreciated TK bringing up Birds of Prey, and between that reference and us currently rewatching Point Pleasant with Jonah, with Dina Meyer, aka Barbara Gordon, from Birds of Prey, and my realization that Harleen Quinzel in that series was played by Mia Sara, aka Sloane from Ferris Bueller.
Yep. Except for
So she's the
in the unaired pilot, it was Sherilyn Fenn.
God, she just
No!
cannot
Oh
stop
my
getting
God!
kicked
No,
out of
I
shows,
actually-
can she?
Listen, I think it's really. I was going to say it's really cool that Mia Sara played the first ever Harleen Quinzel, but knowing that it was actually Sherilyn Fenn in an unaired pilot, that is 10 times cooler.
Yeah.
And that is such a cool thing that not enough people. It's dumb. It's not good. It's bad. But much like Point Pleasant, more people need to give this dumb little thing more of its flowers. So maybe I'll want to rewatch that. You can give me other suggestions for dumb things to watch as we go into the spooky season at KEVO Really. That's KEVO REALLY. And as always, thank you for my flowers and for my applause.
Okay, listen,
I am
soundboard
so
king.
excited for this new soundboard.
You're like this guy being the one of us
Oh, are
with
you mad at
incredibly
me?
styled hair. It's just like you're going to get to throw this in our faces all the time now.
Yeah.
Get off air. I love you. Okay, you just plinko to zero. No, I'm kidding. You just plinko $10,000 because you're a total king. Speaking of total kings who are worth $10,000, Is Jonah here? I'm kidding. TK, one of the things I love the most about this show is that you and I are both Batmen. I mean that like non-funny, but we're also both kind of like Akahiros. Neither one of us is Wolverine. And so many people feel like Wolverine is Batman. And that is such a simplification. And like one of the things that's exciting is, like I said earlier this episode, we just did an event with so many amazing X-Men podcasters covering an incredible wealth of our cohorts, like the Homo Superior podcast, X Reads, and more. And we are so excited that we got to be a part of this engagement. And one of the things I discovered is, even though we all share this same queer X-Men kind of space, we do not all feel the same way about a lot of stuff. And let me tell you, when you are out here trying to be like right? Like, it's one thing if you're the Andy Richter to a Conan. That's another conversation. But like, as much as we see Letterman and Leno as two different creatures, they created a world together. And, you know, as the Leno to your Letterman, as the Letterman to your Leno, I feel like one of the things that I feel the most safe in is that we see the universe of Marvel and DC in similar ways, even when we disagree. And I have had an amazing time talking about Batman and Wolverine with you. But I think my biggest question for you, without opening too big a can of worms, is where do you want to see either line be 1 year from now? What is the thing that would bring you satisfaction in either line, the one you've been following for 3 decades or the one that you have followed 3 decades worth in a year?
For DC, it's the thing we just finished talking about it. I think they are having a little bit of trouble saying what their characters are going to be. Marvel characters do evolve a lot. And DC characters are sort of flagships. They're sort of stone monuments that you can always look up at, and you know they will be steadfast and there to protect you. But Batman's no-kill policy, we maybe should be done with that. Like, maybe something needs to change, and not in like a shocking he does it once thing, but you know, he really goes like, I should stop saving the Joker. Like, that's insane. And there's a lot of stuff like that for Superman, for Wonder Woman, for all of these characters, where I would just like to see them have the prospect of their serialized adventures changing them, and in really cool, interesting ways. For Marvel, I would love for those changes to be, you know, Marvel changes their characters a lot, and then they've changed so much that you forgot that they changed before. You know, it's not even that they need to stagnate the changes. It's that they need to remember all of the histories that these characters have and figure out a way to incorporate them. I would love to really switch out the rosters big time. And I'd love to see some of these old guard boys club dudes out. And I would love to see some of these really talented people, even some that have been there for a while, but just haven't had big leadership roles, get them, and to see new writers come in. And yeah, I would just like to see some stuff really shaken up. That's what I'd love to see. I'd love to see the X-Men line drastically reduced in number of books.
Good luck.
Yeah, good fucking luck. But also, bro, well, for one thing, you can find me at TK Accidental if you want to talk about any of these things. But answer your own question, because I would love to know, especially like for DC, I'm just kind of coming to that idea, like in the course of this show, sort of talking out my thoughts on Batman. But you've been with them for a while. You're going to have sort of different thoughts on where you would want them to be. And, you know, of course, I want to know what you think about Marvel in that regard.
Well, I think that both of them could do the same thing, and whichever company wants to be brave enough to call me, call me. I have an incredible library of incredibly award-winning books. It won one award, just deal with it. But call me, because I think the thing that you need to do is you need to have both Wolverine and Batman step away and run their enterprise while other people fill in for them. I would love to see Bruce Wayne say, yeah, I'm not Batman anymore. Fuck, I'm old. I'll figure out what I'm going to do a year from now. Maybe I'll get back in the suit. But right now, I need to heal. I'm tired. I'm thinking about business enterprises. I'm thinking about supporting new future heroes. So I'm going to be Bruce Wayne for a couple of months. And y'all can be Batman. You can be every color and every shade and every shape of Batman you want. I would love to have a Bane Batman. I would love to have a Riddler Batman. You guys want to change your lives? I'll make you Batman. But Bruce Wayne right now, he needs to get to be the star of his own soap opera. Like, he has so much emotional stuff going on that he can accomplish all of the superhero stuff in other ways. I think what Wolverine needs more than anything is an actual soul quest. He needs to leave all of the books for 2 years, and everyone needs to fill in for him. So what I'm suggesting for Bruce Wayne is Bruce Wayne proxy into everyone that loves him. And what I'm suggesting for Wolverine is everyone do their best Wolverine impression. Period. Logan included. But if you guys want to hang with me, if you guys want to know what it's like to be my friend, if you guys want to know what I thought of the Alan Cumming Uncut Cabaret I saw yesterday, hang out with me at NICO Action, NICOACTION, NICO Action Music, NICOACTION If you guys want to check out more about this show, that's going to be X's for Comics, X's for Podcast, X's for Show. So many X's for. You would think that we are absolutely trying to have a singular brand. But if we were off-brand, it would definitely be HTML Husbands Talking More or Less. Check that out. It's super great. It's super fun. KEVO and I have been doing this for so long. TK and I, you and I have been doing this for so long. It's become its own thing. It is its own magical creature. It's getting old enough that we might have to enroll it in preschool soon. And until we have to do that, you guys should like, comment, and subscribe because that helps us engage with you guys. It helps us know what you guys are looking for. Project Runway tonight. Yes, that is why I'm signing off in 2 minutes, Matthew. But the 3 things you guys can do for yourselves, like Matthew. Number 1, I want you to be brave.
Matthew, join us for our coverage of it, probably this weekend, and if not, at some point soon, because we've been covering it all week. So join us for our coverage of Project Runway. Woohoo!
I completely agree. And, Matthew, what I really want to say is, number 1, you should begin to believe that you are brave. Number 2, Matthew, personally, you and you alone, I want you to stay safe. No one else. Everybody else should be in incredible danger. Number 3, I want you to evolve daily. Everyone else, weekly or monthly. They might devolve hourly, but you, sir, you will evolve daily. Who you were yesterday, I played Monopoly Go with. Who you are today, I played Monopoly Go with. And who you are tomorrow, I'm going to play Monopoly Go with. And so until then, pick your token, pick your shield, and we'll see you.